Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be going over Week 14 NFL Pick'em. Do talk a little bit about against the spread, but I released those picks on my Twitter, so if you want that, check that out. Follow me over there. But yeah, we're just going to jump into Week 14. I'm not going to go over my record. It's basically around 60% for Pick'em, around 58% for against the spread. Nothing too great this season, but we do know that I've had a couple of weeks where I had some banger weeks, and in my pool is definitely scooped. So I like to think I have a little bit of an edge. But yeah, the season's starting to wind down. This is the last week that we have some buys. And we got a lot of division matchups this week, which is pretty exciting. Some big spreads, some little spreads. But guys, let's just jump right into it. Buffalo Bills hosting the New York Jets. This is going to be a rematch of a couple of weeks ago where I think for a lot of people the Jets surprised. But I expect the Bills to kind of come in here and take care of business. The Jets still don't impress me much on offense. So until I kind of see that again, see that get going, I'm not going to say they're going to compete super closely with the Bills. I don't remember what the spread is. But I pick them style. I think you got to take the Bills at home here. Von Miller out for the Bills for the rest of the season. So that's a big blow to the Bills offense or defense. But yeah, I think they're going to be able to pull it off. A big game for them. They want to keep pace with Miami. Miami lost last week, so hopefully they can bounce out of that. Bengals, Browns, the next game up here. Bengals still haven't been able to find a win against the Browns with Joe Burrow behind center. As far as I know, that I heard that throughout the week, so I'm just repeating it if it's wrong. Sorry about that, really. But Bengals, I think this is finally, they've just been rolling since that 0-2 start. They've been rolling across the league. They've beat the Chiefs last week, which to me was a big win and gave them a lot of credit in my books. Last week, we saw Watson come in for the Browns for the first time this season after serving his suspension, but really it was the defense that really made that game last week a blowout, scoring 3 defensive touchdowns. I don't think they're going to have quite near the success they did against Houston, against this Bengals team. This Bengals team is a ton better, so I think the spread's like 5.5 or something like that. Look for that. Next game up, we're not going to even really talk about it. Biggest spread of the week. Cowboys 17-point favorites against the Texans, and it makes a lot of sense. Cowboys defense is massive. Their offense has put up some massive points this season as well. Whereas on the other side, Texans, well, their defense has been able to hold a lot of games closer than you would think. Their offense has not scored, and it was pretty much, I kind of foresee kind of like the Bills game. It was 44-0 or whatever it was. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar in this game. So that's kind of what I expect to happen. Next up, we got an interesting NFC North matchup. The Lions hosting the Vikings. And the Lions are favored on the spread. What is it? The Vikings are on 8-2, and they're underdogs against I don't remember their records, but that speaks a lot to me of what's going on here. The Lions definitely performing better than their record on the season. They're on a pretty much a little bit of a hot streak here, and St. Brown's had some monster games. On the other side, you got the offense of the Vikings. You got Jefferson, and you got defense. I think if you look at every aspect of the ball, they match up very closely as teams. And I am actually going to take the home team here. I think the Lions have a stone's throw of a chance to somehow make it in the playoffs. They'd obviously have to pretty much win out, and they're going to play with their hearts out in this game. I think they might catch the Vikings sleeping a little bit in the first half. And if they do, I think they can walk away with a big win here. Next up, Eagles versus the Giants. I don't think the Giants have a whole lot that they can do to keep up with the style of offense that the Eagles have been putting up this season. Not to mention their defense. I feel like they're quite a bit ahead of the Giants in terms of progression, in terms of overall football team. I think they win in all aspects of the football, and they're at home. I think the Eagles are going to be ready to play. They're not going to give a team a chance like the Giants that they gave to the Commanders earlier in the season where they got their first loss. They're going to come out firing in this one. Division rivals. Eagles all the way. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Steelers, and I think this is the first time they're meeting this season, so I think they're going to have another one within the next couple of weeks, obviously, with the season coming to an end. Spread's been very interesting. A lot of doubt around Lamar Jackson, whether he's going to play. Huntley's likely going to play for Baltimore Ravens. The spread started 4-point favorites for the Ravens, and it's shifted now to the Steelers being favorites. I think that's pretty over dramatic in my guesstimate of everything going on. I still tend to lean the Ravens here. I don't think, from what I've seen last year and so far this year, when Huntley's in the game, it doesn't really set the Ravens back. Honestly, I've been rooting for Huntley to come in for the Ravens for weeks now. If you're on our Discord, I've mentioned him here and there. And I don't think it's a downgrade for this Ravens offense. So I expect pretty much on paper it's going to be the same Ravens team. And if Lamar was there, I think everyone would still be on the Ravens. So I'm a little shocked to see them make that drastic switch like that in the spread especially. Next up, Titans hosting the Jaguars. Tale of two different teams in the AFC South here. I don't really think I can go anywhere but with the Titans right now. Lawrence right now is questionable to start for the Jaguars. So if he doesn't start, it's even more of a Titans pick here. The only thing I'm kind of excited to see is Jacksonville with their rush, their blitz, with the number 1 pick in there. What kind of damage is he going to be able to do? Lawrence has been pretty quiet this season. He's not like really flirting with 10 sacks and stuff like that. But that offensive line, or I guess it's the defensive line, is really what the Jags had been drafting and setting up for. So I want to see how they compete with Derrick Henry and this kind of multi-versatile Titans offense. Maybe they can cause some havoc, because that's honestly what this team's all about, or supposed to be about. Next up, we got the Chiefs going into Denver. This game was flexed out of the Sunday Nighter. I guess Russell Wilson crapped the bed enough times that he's been demoted as no longer Patrick Mahomes. First, Russell Wilson carries that kind of weight that it probably should have. First time they're meeting up here in Denver. I don't see how Denver can win. I just, that's pretty much it. How are they going to score enough points to match up with Patrick Mahomes? They basically, in my books, if they're winning this one, they got to win like 14-10, 17-14, something insane, and somehow Russell Wilson puts up a season high performance, and I don't see that happening. So that brings us to the next game, Seahawks versus the Panthers. This is a pretty important game for the Seahawks against a team with Jake Darnell leading the way after a big win last week by the Panthers. The Seahawks have Geno Smith back there, and this is their time to really show that, okay, they're serious. They kind of stumbled last week, losing to the Raiders, and the week before, barely squeaking by the Rams. So this is a must-win game for the Seahawks if they're going to continue to be talked about in this playoff race. If they lose, it definitely opens the door for some of those other teams, such as the Lions, who are that far stretch out. Opens up the door a little bit for teams like that to get back in here. But yeah, so based on all that, I think the Seahawks have to win. They're going to be fighting for it a little bit harder. If they get out to a 14-0 quick lead in this one, they will walk away with it. Next up, San Francisco hosting Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. And we saw one quarter of Tom Brady last week against the Saints, a comeback miracle, pretty much on their way to sealing the deal in the NFC South. And I think we expected that. It's been a rough ride to get there, and lucky for them, there's not really any real competition in the division right now. But, yeah, that being said, I don't think they can beat the San Francisco team based any way on what you're playing. So I'm going to have to take San Francisco at home. Very impressed with Purdy coming in last week, and he's expecting to start this week. Coming in and beating the Dolphins in that game. It was a big game for Dolphins. First time Tua has lost this season. So I expect them to beat this extra Florida team right now. Moving on. Chargers versus the Dolphins. This game flexed into the Sunday Nighter, and I'm pumped for that as a Dolphins fan myself, and I'm going to be sticking with my Tua-led Dolphins to pick up the W here. This is Tua versus Herbert. Both guys drafted in the same first round, and it's the first time they're meeting up with each other. There's a lot of debate of who is better, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the Dolphins lost after the first 2 seasons. Herbert looks awesome, Tua looks crappy, etc. And now we're here. Herbert's looked whatever, and Tua's had a great year. But this is going to be a fun game. They're going to be talking about that. So all Sunday night, I'm going to be excited to see these two teams match up. It could be foresight for these two quarterbacks playing each other a lot over the course of their career. Monday night, we got the Cardinals hosting the Patriots. Both teams that are like scrapping their last ounce of breath to try to get in this playoff race. And this is a playoff game essentially for these two teams. They're going to have primetime spotlight on them. And the Patriots, for the most part, have had big time wide receivers step up and have big games against them. We're going to see whether DeAndre Hopkins can come in there, take care of business or not. But I'm going with the Cardinals here. I think they're the better team as much as the Patriots are well coached, well managed, et cetera, et cetera. They've made some untimely mistakes, Bill Belichick-like mistakes this season that I've seen. And they just don't have the mojo that you expect the Patriots to have as of late. And that's basically it. And that's how I'm making my pick, an anti-Patriot or whatever. Guys, there you have it. That's Week 14 picks, preview, mini preview, whatever. If you want to see what I'm doing against the spread, I release those Sunday morning over on my Twitter account. We have a group of people over on the Discord below that continue the conversations. We chat it up, keeping our fantasy, all that stuff in there. Join if you'd love to have you there. And guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you for that next video. Peace out.